Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Omega Insight. Tonight's topic is remodeling. When we remodel, not just externally, but internally, remodeling on the inside. The steps are quite simple, and the same as it is if we were remodeling our home, let's say. Of course, many of us know in the last year and a half we've been quarantined, and there have been a great deal of people who have, since we've spent so much time due to COVID being indoors and staying in our homes, we've picked up our to do list and we've been checking things off and doing things and working on remodeling. Now, when it comes to remodeling, it's not like you look over one day and say, I think I'll change that. Most of the time, when it comes to a remodel, there's something that we're not satisfied with. Whether it's when you first bought the house and you knew down the road you were going to do X, Y, and Z, or you've decided, yeah, you're not really just happy with the way that looks. Your style has changed, it's outdated, and you want to change it around. Or maybe there was an emergency, like a flood happened, and you need, or windstorm or hailstorm, and something needs to be replaced. Whatever the case is, we're prompted to remodel. So something is prompting us to do a remodel. Now, once we have that awareness, then we assess what needs to be done. So let's say I'm going to go with flooring. It's a lot easier. So flooring, we've decided, we've assessed it. We don't like the flood. I mean, we don't like the floor. Let's say there was a flood, that was an emergency, or maybe the carpet is tearing up, it's old carpet, or we've just, come into some extra cash and we've always said we wanted to do this. Let's do this now. So by assessing it, we determine what it is that I want to focus on. Once I have that in mind, then I do research naturally. We go online, we find out the different types of flooring that's available to us. We determine on our preference what we like, color, texture, etc. And then, of course, the cost, the time involved. So we do our research. Once we do our research, then we make the commitment. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Yes, I've got the money set aside, got the time set aside. We meet with the contractors and say, yes, this is what we're going to do. And we sign the contract. That's a commitment. I'm now going to move forward because I'm committed to changing the flooring. Now, the first thing, anybody knows this, when you're going to redo the flooring, you have to prep. So that means clearing everything off of the previous or the old floor that needs to be fixed. So you clear everything out. So that's the prep work. Now, here's the advantage. When we do prep work, sometimes we find items that we think, you know what, I don't want to keep this anymore. Why are we holding on to this? And we could actually start purging, getting rid of things that we don't really have any value for anymore. When we have the prep work done, then of course they come and install the new flooring. And once the new flooring is installed, it's your job to make sure you inspect it and that everything is done according to what the contract was before the contractors leave. And then you replace the items back into the room on a new foundation. So we replace them back on to the new flooring. And even with this, we can determine, I didn't like the way the room was set up and we change it around. But most of the time, people say, you know what, let's get new furniture. So one remodel leads to the next thing. And which, of course, anyone who's ever done remodeling is aware that you end up spending more than what you think you're going to spend. Now, that's the remodeling of the floor. That's easy enough to follow. Everybody understands it. Let's take a look at this, metaphorically speaking. What if we were to say, how do we apply those steps to an internal remodeling? Well, they really are quite the same, easy to follow, but difficult to implement. Everyone understands that. It's easier said than done. That's a phrase that is often equated with tasks. Now, the first thing we do is we're not satisfied. So that's if we have an internal desire to remodel. We become aware we're not satisfied. Maybe we're snippy, or maybe we just don't feel joy anymore. Maybe we feel lethargic, or we're unhappy. We can say that. So by assessing, we first are become aware that we're unsatisfied. So awareness takes place. Something needs to change. So I have an awareness. Okay, something needs to change. That's always the first step. Everyone says it. Awareness is the first step. Well, now that I'm aware, what do I do? Well, follow along what we did for the remodeling. So first we had the awareness, then we assess. What is it that needs to change? I'm aware I want to change. I'm aware I'm not happy. I assess my behavior. Okay, there must be a behavior change. Perhaps maybe I become aware that I'm angry all the time. I'm snapping at people. And I mean, it's just, I'm not talking about hormones. I'm talking about I really am just a upset individual. There's just angst in my tone. So I assess it. What is it that I need to change? I want to change my behavior. Let's say it's the anger. Then I do research. Well, research comes twofold here. First of all, I do the research on what's the source of my anger. This could be do counseling, you can go to coaching, you could have a conversation with friends and family, loved ones, your spouses, journal, meditate. There's many different venues that you could do to find the research of what the source of your anger is. And that's one part of the research. The second part of the research is now that you understand what it is, what do we do? And we can determine, find different methodologies that we want to implement to help us wash away the anger that we don't want to have anymore. So then we have to make a commitment. We sign the contract for the remodeling in the home. Well, we do a commitment to ourselves, or you commit to a friend or family or loved one that you're going to work on changing. By stating it out loud makes it a little bit more official, makes it more intent. The intent is there. It's not just an internal thing. Now there's an accountability factor. I've stated to somebody that I'm going to work on this issue and they can hold me accountable. This can be very helpful for individuals when we're working on things that are difficult at times. So once I have that commitment, the contract, then I have to prep just like we cleared the space for the new floor to be put in the old one ripped up and the new one put in. Well, I have to clear the space to allow for me to work on the anger or behavior change. So purging can occur as well. Perhaps maybe you have somebody in your life that is causing anger and you just don't want to be around them anymore. So you can purge that individual, or maybe it's somebody you can't purge, family member, loved ones, child, spouse, significant other. So maybe what we can do is purge your reaction to it and not have the, oh, yeah, they're the, oh, look, here's another opportunity for me to practice. But changing my mindset, I can do that. And again, with the prep work, this is also preparing to do the methodologies, making sure, okay, I know that the next time I feel anger, I'm going to stop, count to 10, take a deep breath, meditate, or visualize this individual, find the value in them, being compassionate, whatever you decide to do, you just instill that here's what I'm going to do. So that's the prep work. You're completely aware of what you're the steps you're going to follow when you become aware of the anger. Then you install, just like we installed the flooring, the same thing you install. The next time you feel the anger rising up, you follow the things that you said you were going to do, whether it was take a deep breath, count to 10, find value, be grateful, do the journaling, whatever it is that you said you were going to do, you would practice doing it. That's the install. Now, here's something that's also beneficial. With the install of practicing these new methodologies, you could actually do this on your own without having the trigger. Go into a meditative state, close your eyes, visualize that person there, excuse me, visualize them, and then work through it in your meditative state and practice that way so that when that person is in front of you, you don't have the reaction. You can practice on it. So there are ways that you could do visualizations to allow yourself to be prepared for when you actually are going to have the encounter. This happens a lot when people are prepping for an interview, let's say, or they're prepping to have a conversation with their child about drugs or sex. So we prepare ourselves. We get the idea of what we're going to say all together. We work it in our mind and make sure that we feel confident in what we're about to do. You can do this too with the methodologies of preparing yourself for the behavior change. And then, of course, after you have the install, then we have the inspect. So, inspection for the internal is for me to become aware. All right, am I still getting angry? Am I still getting reactive? Ask for feedback. from other individuals. Are you aware that I'm still getting angry? How is our interactions going? Always ask for feedback. It's very, very beneficial. Not opinions, not advice, just feedback. That's all we're looking for. And then, of course, once you have that done, just like in the remodeling of your home, you put everything back in place. Well, now that I have this foundation that I want to be working on my behavior change, I come back into my everyday surroundings and the things that I'm working with and the people that I'm working with, interactions that I'm having, and I make sure that I continue to improve, continue to use those methodologies and the way that I want to work on changing my behavior. So, as you see, it's the same thing. Maybe I should remodel my voice. It's the same thing of following the steps of remodeling interior as it well exterior as it is interiorly. So you have the awareness, then the assessment, your research, commit to the contract, the prep work, installation, inspection, and then the reset. Now, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging in there with my voice. Look forward to seeing you all next Monday when we have another Omega Insight. This Wednesday, we're going to be sending out our first, in a very long time, Omega newsletter. We're going to start doing that the first of the month. So keep your eyes open for your emails to see that. That's all I have to say tonight. So have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to seeing you. Bye now.